Christopher Nolan, director, screenwriter, producer, film lover. At least I presume, right? Since he does make movies, you can only assume he loves movies. The Odyssey. It's his next film. It comes out next year, July. It's been a while since his last feature. I don't know. It feels like it anyways. The Oppenheimer, what came out in 2023? Christopher Nolan has quickly just become a huge figure in the movie industry. You know, starting off with his early films like Memento and Batman Begins to his later successes like The Dark Knight and then, of course, Oppenheimer. This guy has just come a long way, but he's always been fantastic. There's always been something special about him, right? And I think it wasn't really until Oppenheimer where people really saw the brilliance of Christopher Nolan, right? I mean, the guy literally made a biopic based on the life of the guy who made the atomic bomb. I mean, just insane. He made a story like that digestible for people, and he made it epic, right? And so with him tackling the Odyssey, it's interesting, right? Homer's The Odyssey, right? The famous story that takes place after the Iliad, another notable work from those of you who paid attention in literature class, in classic literature classes in college or in high school or whatever. You probably have heard of the Odyssey and the Iliad. I didn't pay attention really that much, so I'm gonna have to do some SparkNotes reading myself, because the Odyssey takes place after the Iliad, and apparently the Odyssey has a lot of references to the Iliad, and so now I have to read up on the Iliad. But anyways, the Odyssey it's an adapted work, right? Homer is the author of this work, and Christopher Nolan, sometimes he likes to, like Tenet, right? Inception, these are original works that he writes, and but it's always interesting to see when he adapts things, right? Like Batman or Dunkirk, I guess, in a way. You know, it's based on the events of World War I. But the Odyssey, I mean, he's tackling big territory here. I mean, this is like somebody trying to, you know, make a movie on the Bible. Like it's that massive, right? It's interesting to see, right? Because a lot of people are like, you know, the Odyssey, there's a lot of fantastical elements to it. Is he going to go with CGI? Is he going to go with more practical? Who knows? I guess maybe we'll have a taste of this a little bit with this trailer. All I know is that I'm excited because it's Christopher Nolan. Why would you not be? He can make anything epic. And so with that, we have the official trailer for the Odyssey, our first look into this film. I'm excited. Let's do it. My boy C. Nilly. That's what I'm calling him. C. Nilly. Let's do it.
After years of war. No one could stand between my men. And home. Not even me.
Promise me you will come back.
What if I can't?
That hyped me up. I will also say I'm also cheating a little bit. So I got to see Avatar Fire and Ash in IMAX 3D. And we were told that audiences were going to get a 6-minute preview of the Odyssey on screenings of Avatar Fire and Ash. And I saw about maybe 3-4 minutes. It wasn't the full 6 minutes. I walked in sort of late to the theater. But I will say one massive thing that I think will be a huge talking point in this movie, it might or might not be, but from what I've heard anecdotally, the Odyssey is a massive story, right? When you read it, when you learn about it, and there's just the story itself, it's massive. However, Christopher Nolan seems to be taking a little bit more of a grounded route. So we didn't even really see some CGI in this. I mean, well, there's CGI in this film, of course there is, but we didn't see anything super mythic or godlike or anything like that. We saw a little glimpse of Cyclops, just a tiny bit. And I think that might be a mix of practical and CGI. I will say in this 6-minute preview, we did see a quick snapshot of Cyclops, and it looks like the face itself is CGI, but the body might be practical. So it's a mix between practical and CGI. Whatever it is, it's cool. So we are getting some fantastical elements, which is interesting. We're getting an actual Cyclops. We're not getting this sort of metaphorical take on Cyclops or something. So it seems like we are going to get some fantastical elements. However, the scale of the movie from this trailer, it seems like the name, right? The actual adapted material, you're like, oh my God, this is going to be huge. This is a massive movie. It's Dune, right? It's the next Lord of the Rings. It's massive. And when the 6-minute preview that I saw, which again is only 6 minutes, it was incredibly small. It just felt very small scale. And anecdotally, a lot of people have been saying too that we need to stop thinking that this movie is going to be like this massive thing and it's going to be this just giant, expansive, epic thing. It's going to address epic things, but it's mostly going to be a more personal, more grounded take, and it's going to feel much more intimate. That's what I feel this is going to be. Like, a lot of these shots are pretty cool and expansive and awesome, but it doesn't. Now, also, I'm not hugely familiar with the lore and the story of the Odyssey. Is there all-out war in this one? Probably not. I think the Iliad, from what I lightly read, that one is about war. The Odyssey is the aftermath of the war that happens in the Iliad. So I guess it makes sense from that standpoint that this film is not going to be like super massive and about war, right? It's a more personal story. I guess it's very akin to The Warriors, right? Which was also based on a sort of an ancient story. So The Warriors is, for those of you who've seen, one of the greatest movies ever. It's about this gang, this New York City gang who has to travel back home 10,000 miles across enemy territory. And the Odyssey is sort of familiar, right, in that way, right? This guy goes out to war, he has to come back, and he has to come back home, right? And that's sort of the journey of that. And there's a lot of learning and evolving that can happen there. A lot of great stuff, right? A lot of character development. So that's awesome. That's always a classic story. That's always an amazing framework for a story, a really compelling story. It would be interesting to see what Christopher Nolan has to say in this film. I imagine he's going to take a lot of creative liberties, like this now famous shot that people love to point out, this one right here of this character here. Like, I don't even know who this is. This type of armor, like, was this actually historically accurate? Although the Odyssey is not historical, I guess. Like, it sort of is elements, I think, but it is, at the end of the day, it's a fantastical take on events of history, I believe. So, how much creative liberty is Christopher Nolan going to take with this source material, right? That's what's always interesting to me. I never want to see like a eye for an eye type of take on, I don't even know. You know what I mean by that term, even though I'm using it completely wrong. I'm not using it in the same context, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't want like a carbon copy of the Odyssey. I want to see some creative direction here. And so what are some creative liberties he's going to take aesthetically with the film, right? This is a cool shot. I wonder, is this actually in the Odyssey itself? I don't know. So we're going to get a lot of cool shots like this. We got Tom Holland there. They're not speaking in, oh, the days before and get away from me and I'm Odysseus. Like, they're not speaking like that. They're speaking like with normal English, so there's already that.
Even me.
The music, Ludwig Göransson, he's back again to work with Christopher Nolan. Of course, he is an Oscar-winning composer for film. Black Panther, Oppenheimer, and now he's going to do the Odyssey. So, this looks like CGI. The horse here looks like CGI. Really? You couldn't you couldn't afford to just have a horse there? Like, I'm just harking, but like, it looks like CGI, dude. It looks fake. It's a little bothersome because it's an element that, like, movies since the dawn of time have been doing and getting right, horses, but now we have to CGI them. I understand that horses sometimes are CGI'd, but you know what I mean? Given that it's Christopher Nolan and, whatever. Anyways, it looks like that. It might be real. Who knows? Okay, interesting. Pretty epic. Here we go. We're going into the cave here. Get a little glimpse of Cyclops, just a tiny bit. For some reason, my compression here in this is probably my computer here. It looks like shit right here. I guess at some point he fights zombies. Odysseus fights. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, it just feels very, like, intimate. It feels very personal. I feel like a lot of filmmakers would have, like, taken a more expansive, like, wide sort of shot. But here it just seems very, very intimate. Like, yeah, there's a lot of extras and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff going on, but somehow it just feels very small scale. Again, it might be because of the source material itself. It's not necessarily the most epic story, right? But I don't know, with a name like the Odyssey, you would think it is. But maybe I should just go read the Odyssey. But it feels like, it also feels like if it was another filmmaker, probably, like if it was Peter Jackson or Denis Villeneuve, this film would feel much more, So, but it just, this shot right here just feels very small, and that's not a diss. Like, I'm excited for it actually, but. Okay, so.
Promise me you will come back.
What if I can't?
Yeah. The thing that I am interested to see the most is, well, first, I want to read the Odyssey for myself, or at least just spark notes it, for God's sake. But I would love to see just how Christopher Nolan, what he has to say, because this is adapted material. This is stuff that he's getting from. This is not a completely original story, right? Inception had something to say. Tenet had something to say. Memento had something to say, right? Like, these films that are original, right? It's very easy to sort of have something to say with original material. With adapted material, you're already having something that's already there, that is the message, right, of the story. And so I don't want to see that again. I mean, of course I want to see elements of that, but I want to see, what does Christopher Nolan bring? Will he change some stuff? Will he add some stuff? Will he take away some stuff? Will he focus on some things? Like, is this, obviously I imagine this film is going to be a lot about hubris. It's going to be a lot about discipline and resilience and just perseverance and, like, all of those things that are eternal, character traits, right? That will always be relevant and will always be resonant. But is there something else? I'm just interested to see what that is. So, I'm excited to see it next year. Next year, July could not come soon enough. I'm going to be watching this on the biggest screen possible, and I suggest you do the same. Music's fantastic as well. Giving me chills up in here. But those are my thoughts on the Odyssey. Christopher Nolan. It comes out next year. I would love to know your thoughts in the comment section below of this trailer. Do you think, did this trailer hype you up? Did it decrease your anticipation for this film? Do you not care about Christopher Nolan? Did this trailer move the needle for you in any way whatsoever, whether it's negative or positive? Let me know. Do you agree with my takes? Do you agree with my concerns? Also, let me know. Give this video a like if you like, dislike it if you didn't. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this content. Share this video with your Christopher Nolan loving friends if you will. If it's your birthday, happy birthday to you, you beautiful creature. But I think that's it for me. You all take care, stay safe, and until next time, I love you.